This is the Whole Care Network. Helping you tell your story one podcast at a time. Content presented in the following podcast is for information purposes only. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guest and may not represent the views and opinions of the Whole Care Network. Always consult with your physician for any medical advice, and always consult with your attorney for any legal advice. And thank you for listening to the Whole Care Network.
This is Sarah, and I just want to take a moment to speak to you about this week's sponsor, Favor. Favor, Inc. is a statewide family-led nonprofit 501c3 organization that is committed to empowering families as advocates and partners in improving educational and health outcomes for our children. Favor is the Connecticut state organization of the Federation of Families for Children's Mental Health. Favor offers a single place for families with children who have medical, mental, emotional, and behavioral health challenges to find information, assistance, and training. To find out more about Favor, please go to favor-ct.org. We are grateful for our opportunity to work with Favor as a sponsor, and now on to the rest of the episode.
This episode is brought to you by CogniView. CogniView provides cognitive assessment tools to a broad range of healthcare providers for the early detection of cognitive impairment. Early detection allows patients to address modifiable risk factors sooner, potentially changing the course of cognitive decline. It also allows healthcare providers to develop a plan with the patient and caregiver so the patient can live their best life during their journey. For more information, go to www.cognivue.com. That's www.cognivue.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Caregiver Chronicles. My name is Sarah, and today I am very excited. I'm very privileged to have two wonderful women with me today. From Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's, the founders of Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's, Alder Allensworth and Brenda Freed. Allen is an RN with a master's in music therapy who came up with the inspiration for Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's after watching her mother, who had Alzheimer's, interact with her grandchildren. And Brenda has a master's degree in music education and in music therapy. She pioneered a music therapy program at the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics. She worked with patients of all ages and conditions, including Alzheimer's. Alda, thank you so much for being here. Alda, can you please further introduce yourself to my audience?
Thank you, Sarah. Again, my name's Alder Allensworth, and back in the early 2000s, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and the grandchildren would come to visit her every so often, school holidays. And so they started seeing some major changes in her behavior. And one of the grandchildren, she was 7, was very proud of her drawings and drawing these monsters. And all of a sudden, the monsters disappeared one night. And she knew that Gran stole them and got very, very irate about it. And we were like, no, she didn't steal them. I found the monsters in the laundry basket. And we had to explain what Alzheimer's was to this 7-year-old, and that Gran wasn't being mean, and that Gran was confused and just didn't know. She knew they had to be put away somewhere. And to try and explain a disease like that to a child is really difficult. And I started looking for resources, and there really wasn't for young children. There's a lot more for older kids and adults. And that's what was the impetus to create Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's, to help families explain Alzheimer's to children that are young, and also to create really fun activities and memories together. I talked to my friend Brenda about the project. Brenda and I did our music therapy internships together, and back in 1980. And Brenda's a singer-songwriter, and Brenda just was all in. So we'll turn it over back to you. Thank you.
Well, Brenda, please further introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, I jumped on this project when Alder approached me because we've been friends a long time. We had been dabbling in different ideas of projects we could do together over the years, but this one just really stuck because I do love writing. I am a musician, so we knew it was going to involve music. My husband and I have a music studio, a recording studio, so we were able to incorporate that. And in the recording of the videos, I narrated the videos, and I had a young student who was able to sing the song because we wanted the song to come from a young girl's perspective, and that's the Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's disease story song that we wrote to go with the program. And we also had it animated, so it's an animated video. So the project just appealed to me because I was able to use a lot of the skills that I have developed over the years, and I see this project as a culmination of all of our skills collectively, and it's just wonderful to be able to make it manifest into this project that now we have available.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And again, this project is near and dear to my heart also. Being a mom of two boys and having a really close relationship with my grandmother, when she had Alzheimer's and was suffering, it was really difficult sometimes watching my kids interact with and try to help and try to support their grandmother. And I was unaware of this when I was going through that. And I wish I was, because it would have been a great, helpful tool and resource, for me to help explain this to my kids and my niece and my nephew. Even though I had experience working with Alzheimer's and dementia, my kids didn't. In explaining it in an adult way and explaining it in a children's way is two completely different things. Are you willing to talk more about like how you explain to parents how to teach their kids?
Sure. The first thing is to keep it honest and keep it simple. Children have incredible radar. They know something's different. They know something's going on. And if they understand, like all of us, if we understand what's going on and have knowledge, then we can cope. So it's really important to be honest with the child. Yes, your loved one has a disease called Alzheimer's. And then they'll probably say, what's that? Or why? Or how did they get it? Because kids are always asking questions. And we have to say, it's not contagious, not like the flu, that you can't get it from them. It's okay to continue to hug your gran or your grandpa or your loved one. You won't get sick, but it is a disease that affects their brain so that they can't think like they used to, and they can't do things that they used to do. And we have an example in our What is Alzheimer's video, which is actually a freebie right now on our website, if people want to go look at it, about an example to a child of just going to the kitchen and getting a glass of milk. That's something they probably, even at 7, 6, probably 5, can do pretty easily. Just go grab that glass and grab the carton and pour themselves some milk. But someone with Alzheimer's may not know all those steps, may not remember those steps, may not remember when they get into the kitchen what they were going to even get. So just doing a simple scenario that a kid can understand. And then how could you help your loved one if they're thirsty? Could you go get grandma a glass of milk? So just tying an explanation then with an activity or something they can do to help make a difference.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I love the aspect of including your child or including the child the grandchild, the niece, the nephew, the great grandchild, whatever child it is,
Yeah.
in the care aspect, in the how can you help.
Mm-hmm.
Kids feel empowered when they can help. A
Yeah.
lot of kids do. They get a sense of pride. And also they're
Mm-hmm.
learning important skills that they're gonna need someday, of helping someone, taking care of someone. And I know my son, when I've talked to him in the past about spending time with my grandmother and things like that, and he's like, well, I helped Meme by doing this for
Mm-hmm.
her, and I helped Meme by doing that. And he was so proud of himself that he helped, that he was a caregiver too. And obviously doing that, within realm of a child. You're not going to
Yeah.
have a 10-year-old toilet their great grandmother,
Right.
but to send them to the fridge to get a cup of milk, or even my son at 10 was making his own ramen noodles, and he could
Mm-hmm.
have made a cup of noodles for Meme and she would have loved it, or getting snacks down, things
Right.
like, again, things within reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we talk about the things for which children should get a responsible adult to help, and that is, with the bathroom or with getting dressed. And if they're with the person and they become very agitated, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
we also
Oh,
want the
definitely.
child to know.
And definitely for aggression too. And I can understand that being scary for a child. Um,
Mm-hmm.
to see a person, an adult, get agitated or aggressive. Do you have resources on how to explain that aspect of dementia to children?
Absolutely. One of the things that will trigger aggression is too much noise and confusion. And there's like a fun thing you could do with your child before, is give them like a pair of glasses that has Vaseline all over them, and put mittens on their hands so they can't use their hands, and maybe even tie one hand to their side, and do a few things to them that will prevent them from functioning totally. And then say, and make it as a game. I'm going to let you know how grandma feels. And then say, okay, now go to your room. I want you to pick up your clothes, hang them up, get a mop, wash the floor, vacuum, make your bed, and just hit them with all these things and see how they react. And say, how did that feel? Oh, it was too much. It was overwhelming. I couldn't use my hand. I couldn't do what you asked me to do. And I said, yeah, that's how grandma feels too sometimes. And you got kind of mad and frustrated, didn't you? Yeah, I did. So building that empathy and that understanding, and say, maybe the next time we visit grandma, what are some things we can do so they won't get mad and frustrated like you just got? Maybe what could we do? Well, maybe one direction at a time. Or maybe if things were quiet, or we didn't have a lot of noise going on in the background. So doing those kinds of experiential activities can make a huge difference in the relationship.
Yeah. And I think also, keeping kids focused on simpler activities with grandma, rather than like all the electronics, and
Yeah.
sitting next to grandma with the iPad and having the volume turned all the way up. And we all know iPads and video games can be a trigger for some kids for behaviors. Maybe limiting screen time with grandma, maybe
Mhm.
maybe soft music, or a puzzle, or sometimes puzzles can be overwhelming too, but or even coloring, drawing, art
Yeah.
projects, things like that. That's just,
Reading a picture book,
yeah,
looking at pictures, making a memory book together,
yeah,
and playing dolls. My mom and her 5-year-old granddaughter loved to play dolls together. It was so sweet watching them playing dolls. And my mom at that point was probably about 5 years old in that progression of the disease, because as we know, people regress with Alzheimer's. And a lot of women, particularly with Alzheimer's, like to have baby dolls. So it was just a natural progression.
Yeah. No, I really like those tips. Again, I really like the dolls and the puzzles, not the puzzles, the dolls and the coloring books and things like that. Like just the simpler activities. The simpler you can keep an activity in the calmer and the quieter, the better, So I really do like that tip.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk more about like the program itself because this is more than just a book. Like you can buy the book on Amazon. You can buy Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's, but this is so much more than just a book. This is a whole program.
The program is made up of 5 videos. What is Alzheimer's disease? Mild stage Alzheimer's disease, moderate stage Alzheimer's disease, severe stage Alzheimer's disease, and coping with Alzheimer's for the responsible adult with children. So the first 4 that I mentioned are for children, but they're put together in a way that's appealing and comprehensible for children, yet they're informative for adults. And I think that's what makes them unique, that they are still appealing to adults as well. The last one, Coping with Alzheimer's for Responsible Adult Children, is for the adults. And it has those things that we just talked about, things that you can do to help the children understand and times when a responsible adult should be contacted. But the previous 4, in each one, we offer information, tips and activities, especially for the various stages of the disease, tips and activities that a child can do or an adult can do with the person who has Alzheimer's. So they are put together in a way that will accommodate the short attention spans of everyone these days. And what is Alzheimer's disease is 6 minutes. The mild stage is 9 minutes. The moderate stage is 11 minutes, and the severe stage is 7 minutes long. So we, would love to get these programs into schools. They could show a segment over a period of week. They could learn about Alzheimer's and show a segment per day, or in some days they could even show 2 segments. Anyway, so the video series is part of the program, and then also part of the program is a quick reference guide, which are the bullet points basically of each video, so that people don't have to take notes. They can have the information at their fingertips, like, oh, we're going to go see Grandpa today and he's in the moderate stage, and they can look in the quick reference guide and find some activities they can do with their grandparent. So it comes with that. The animated video is also part of the program that we talked about, and the download of the song that goes with the animated video and the picture book. Also, we have created a lyric video for the animated video, because another unique thing about our program is it serves the hearing impaired, because they can order the program that is for hearing impaired, and they can get the transcripts of the videos. So then they have the lyric video for the animated video and the transcripts for the videos. And it's also unique because it serves the visually impaired, because it is an auditory program mostly. So they can get most of it by listening to it. Am I leaving anything out of the program, Alder? I'm trying to think that's it.
Oh my gosh, that's it for the program.
And then, of course, we have the picture book, which is separately sold, and it is sold on Amazon. Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's Disease picture book, and we're real pleased with that. And a download link for the song comes with the picture book, so one can listen to the song, and the lyrics for the song are the text for the book. So they can just read the book, they can look at the pictures in the book, they can download the song and listen to the song as they read the book, or they can even sing the song as they read the book. And also in the book is a wonderful review by Sue Ryan, who is a care industry influencer. And she reviewed our program, and then we have a discount code offered in the book to get the program half price. So I want to tell your listeners, if you have toddlers or young children who would be interested in the picture book, and you're interested in the program, getting the picture book is the way to go, because then you get the picture book and the program for half price if you use the discount code. So I just want to put that out there. And our website, by the way, is Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's.com. And we spell Mackenzie Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's.com. We think of it as we're introducing children and their families to Alzheimer's. Or any type of dementia, really. These things apply for any type of dementia.
And we're really excited. Alts Authors, which vets books for people of all ages about Alzheimer's, just accepted our book. And so it will be on the Alts Authors page. So we're really excited about that. They will, it will be up for launch in March, but they said we can talk about it anytime. And they are just so wonderful and such a great resource for people for all levels of Alzheimer's disease. So we really feel blessed to be counted among that group of people.
Right. And they do have a podcast as well, Alls Authors podcast.
We just, I just recorded with Mary Ann, I think 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
I think when this episode airs, that episode will have already aired. But yeah,
that's okay.
That's great.
But yeah, by the time, because I recorded with her 2 weeks ago, I actually think she's coming out this week. So
Wow.
That's great.
I know the caregiver influencer like world and, caregiver podcasting world, it's a small circle, but it's a very supportive, small circle of people who we're all here for the same thing. We're all here because we've lived those experiences of caregiving for people. And it's so important. It's just so important to share these experiences because so many people are afraid. They're afraid to talk about it. They're afraid to share their experiences. They're afraid to have their children spend time with grandma because they don't know how to say something's wrong, or they don't know how to tell their child, or, their child's going to ask the hard question of, am I going to get Alzheimer's someday? Are you going to get Alzheimer's someday? What happens when you get Alzheimer's? These are questions my child has asked. What happens when the next person gets it?
Right.
How do you not get it? Again, and to have platforms where you can share these resources is just amazing and support each other.
And
Yeah,
I so love that you, I'm sorry.
No, I was
I
just
so
gonna say
love that. You can tell we're enthusiastic. Go ahead, Brenda.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say is we're trying to equip that next generation, with tools and information so they will know how to interact and have meaningful interactions, and also how to create positive memories with their loved one who has Alzheimer's. So that's, exactly what we're trying to do.
And I love that you did this. You have lived this with your children and with your grandparents, and you are doing these podcasts to help other caregivers. And actually, we just did a blog of who is a caregiver? What is a caregiver? A lot of people don't really understand or self-identify as a caregiver. And when they're able to say, oh, wait a minute, I do all those things. I do the grocery shopping for them. I go over and check on them, or the person lives in my home, or I take them to doctor's appointments or whatever. All of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, I'm a caregiver. And when you learn that word, it just opens up so many resources. I mean, you're the Caregiver Chronicles, it opens up that resource. They can search caregiver and then find what they need. And if they want to learn a little bit more, or see what some of that role is, they're welcome to look at our blog on our website, Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's.
Right.
Absolutely.
Included in that blog is a link to a caregiver identification checklist that we created. So one can go to the blog and click on there and click on caregiver identification checklist, and they can download it and pass it on to friends who might need to self-identify. And once again, like Alder said, it's important to self-identify so that then the resources, one can reach out to the resources that are there. And on that note, we also have created a caregiver resource tab on our website. So people can go there and see what, these are trusted caregiver resources that we've put together. And in fact, we would like to add your podcast on there because that is yet another resource.
Thank you.
So we'll have to definitely do that. Yes.
Thank you. And I agree that so many people don't self-identify as caregivers who are doing the care, and especially, again, we have the sandwich generation, and even sometimes there's I like to call it the sandwich generation, like the not just the meat, but the meat and the cheese. You got the bread, the kids, and the great grandparents, because people are living longer, and you have the meat and cheese in the middle. So my generation, my parents' generation, my kids are the bread. My grandparents' generation were the bread. And we're kind of, again, family generations, they're longer, and they're working together with these multi-generational families and multi-generational situations where they're trying to find support for each other. And there's so many things that just divide and are so different that it's hard to see how these two slices of bread go together. But
I love your metaphor, because a sandwich would be really boring with just two pieces of bread. You need the meat and the cheese and all those components to really make a delicious sandwich or make a beautiful family. And I just love that metaphor you use.
Well, thank you. But yeah, it's there's a lot of times multiple layers of families caring for each other in different ways. I know when my mom was caring for my grandmother, she could not do it alone. And she had support, but she had to call in help from me. And I know, me as a mom with my special needs kids, while I'm a great mom, I can't always do it alone, and I have to call my mom for support.
Yes.
And when my grandmother was healthy, she would rock the babies for us. She loved it. It was like her favorite thing. She thought she was the best in the world because she had her great grandchildren and she can rock them to sleep. Until she really couldn't anymore, she loved rocking those babies. She rocked me to sleep till I was like 25. So
I love it.
I was a grandma's girl. But it's just so important to keep these relationships and build these family relationships and strengthen them, because so many families, like I said, they're afraid. They're afraid to introduce their kids to, the future, or what could happen, or, illnesses. They want to keep it all on the hush hush. And I think when we do that, it's a disadvantage. It's a disadvantage for getting our kids the opportunity to get to know their great grandparents and their grandparents. And it's just sad. It's sad when family generations are cut short, or ties are cut, when there could be more opportunity to get to know your roots deeper.
There's been some research done on children as caregivers. We have 5.4 million children providing care in this country. That's huge. But what they've learned, that these children who are providing care tend to grow up into very empathetic, responsible, just wonderful adults, because they had that experience, and they learned how to give, but they also learned how to receive, and the rewards of that relationship. So I thought that was really cool research.
Yes, and we've also had people that with whom we're interacting tell us, they weren't allowed to get to know their grandmother at all. And they regret that. They wish that they had had contact with her, even if she had Alzheimer's. And so, we're trying to help those people, parents, know how to allow their children to have contact and what they can do to create those good memories with their grandparent, even though they have Alzheimer's.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And again, like I said, this is something that I'm passionate about living it, walking the walk, and not just living it in my personal life, but seeing it in my professional life, seeing grandparents who had their grandchildren come to visit who are afraid. I remember my sister was afraid of my great grandmother when we were kids because she was older. And I also love that you guys talk about other forms, like not just Alzheimer's, but it's appropriate for all dementia because there's so many different types of dementia and overlaps with dementia, and it presents differently. And I love that you guys talk about the stages because it presents differently at stages. So what is true, for maybe the first grandkid when they're 7 isn't going to be the same as the second or third grandkid when they're at the age of 7 or,
Right.
So I think that that's also super important. Now, if someone purchases your program, do they get lifetime access?
Yes. And they can download it and have the videos, have the quick reference guide as long as they want them, but they have bought the program. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know affordability is also important with this because, again, family caregivers don't always have the extra resources. Young parents today, we're not going to talk about how difficult this economy is to raise children in. That's a whole other episode. But you guys kept this program affordable.
Yeah.
You're right. And we even added another way to purchase it in that we have a package that takes out the coping with Alzheimer's for the responsible adult, for those adults who don't have children, but who are buying the program for themselves, maybe to learn about their own brain health, but also if they have a loved one who has Alzheimer's, but they don't need the child component so much, they don't need that. So we have it available. The whole program is $47. And then without that, coping with Alzheimer's for the responsible adult with children is $37. So, we're really trying to make it as affordable as possible so people can, of all socioeconomic statuses, can get it. That's our intention. And we're trying to get it into nursing homes, maybe have it licensed. So if they have visitors that come in to see someone who has Alzheimer's, and then they have children, they could go over here and just watch the 1 6-minute video, what is Alzheimer's, and understand a little bit more about, what might be going on with that person, or watch whatever phase that person is, mild, moderate, or severe, and get like ideas for what to do in that visit even. So we're trying very hard to get it onto care facility, care community portals. And we're also working on getting it into corporate because there are a lot of caregivers who are working full-time jobs. And we think our program is perfect for helping those people who have children, how to educate them and once again, have more meaningful interactions.
And
So
how to balance going to work, because most families, both adults, have to work. So how do you balance trying to go to work, trying to be a caregiver, trying to take care of your children? And we try to offer some helpful tips, information, activities that the person with Alzheimer's or any type of dementia and the child can do together, so that then the responsible adult can breathe a little bit instead of feeling like they're having to corral them both at the same time. They can relax. And we feel it's very important to address people who are working full time.
To that point, we created a PDF of, I think it was 12 finger foods, healthy finger foods that a child and their loved one who has Alzheimer's could make, prepare, and enjoy together. And I just think, that's a wonderful thing, since it's hard to get both of them to the table sometimes at once. So we created that PDF. We're always trying to create things, that help people beyond what our program offers. But I have to say, one thing that I love about our program is that it can take people from diagnosis through the severe stage, not just by itself. Of course, everyone wants to supplement, but they can certainly get a really great idea of what's happening, diagnosis through the severe stage. And I think that's important, because the severe stage is very difficult. People don't know what to do. And we offer some realistic things people can do.
Yeah. And I think that that's super valid too, because once you pass a certain point where it's difficult to have conversations with your loved one anymore, maybe they're bedridden, again, on stages, they might be bedridden, they probably nonverbal anymore. How do you let them know that you're still there for them? And a lot of times it's when we see people kind of veer away. Oh, they don't know I'm there anymore, so what's the point? I can't tell you how many times I've heard that sentence.
I know.
It hurts,
Yes.
It's like, it hurt me as the professional. Like, this is when they need you more than ever to make sure that they're getting the best care possible. And even teaching kids, like, hey, if she can't see you right now, or she can't communicate with you right now, but there's a part of her that still knows you're here. Like let's just sit and talk. Let's just sit and exist. And it's okay to do that. We forget that we're so wrapped up in like how we have a relationship that's beneficial for us as the individual, that we forget that sometimes with other people, just existing with them and just being there with them is just as important. So
Exactly.
I love that too.
Yes, and we talk about how hearing is the last thing to go, and so people can still hear, and how to talk to that person. And I just want to emphasize that the program is multicultural, so a lot of different people can identify with the characters, and it's multimedia, as we mentioned, with the song and the video and things. So, we're trying to make it kind of a fun, compassionate way to introduce Alzheimer's to families.
Yeah. And I can definitely see it as that. And I want to thank you guys too for making it inclusive in visual, auditory, even people with adults with cognitive impairment that maybe can't understand at an adult level, they can go back to this and talk to their child with special needs, like in a way that they can learn, and maybe is more or closer to their cognitive level. I don't always want to assume everyone's abilities, but it might be closer to their level of understanding. Having this, having it multicultural, having it available for people in all different backgrounds and needs, and whatever support, that's so important. And that's something that is often lost in the healthcare community. We forget sometimes that people's lives are different.
Right. And especially with baby boomers, growing up in the cost of care communities. I mean, many people are going to end up with these people in their homes. And so we are trying to address that issue and, helping people be prepared for that, especially people who are experiencing Alzheimer's for the first time in their family. And of course, for those who have children or grandchildren. So, Sarah, we just so appreciate this opportunity to talk about it on your podcast. Thank you. Yeah, it's great. To help people get the word out there.
Well, thank you both so much. I kind of want to wrap up by asking my second to last favorite question. What are your favorite forms of self-care?
Self-care is so important because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't care for anybody else. You've got to refill. And for me, oh gosh, I do quite a few self-care things, but I think being out in nature, just spending some quiet time outside in nature really will fill me up. It's one of the things that I really try and do a few minutes every day. I'll just go sit out in the backyard for a few minutes and just be quiet and listen to the birds, and it just kind of makes my day go better.
Awesome. I love it. And how about you, Brenda?
Well, we're very much alike. That's why we're doing this project. And that is, we live on a ranch, so I love going out and playing with my rocks and moving them around and building rock structures. And physical exercise is, for me, a priority of being fit so I can continue on this journey of trying to help others. And so I really am with Alder on that. I love being outside, going for walks, but I also like to just sit back and listen to some music that I enjoy as well.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for that. And those are great. Being out in nature, being outside, exercise, and music. Music is probably one of my favorite forms of self-care. So I don't disagree with that. And always find music that matches your mood.
Yeah.
That's my tip. Whatever mood you're in that moment, if you're angry, listen to Rage Against the Machine. If you're happy, listen to Britney Spears or whatever. If you're sad, match it with something, match it and work your way up from there.
Right.
That's
Love that.
That's my favorite way to do music therapy.
I love it.
So yeah. But one last time, where can my audience find your program and you guys for more information?
Our website is Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's.com, MACKENZIE. And that's where you can find the program. And you can link to the Amazon to get the book right from there as well. But you can go to Amazon to get the book. And we are Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and MM Alzheimer's on Twitter/X. So we're always trying to get the information out on our social media. And yeah, I think did I cover everything?
And if you want to email us, it's MackenzieMeetsAlzheimer's@gmail.com. So we try and stick with the Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's so it's easy to remember and people can access us easily.
And the program is available through the book as well. If you buy the book first, you can look in there and the program's available through the book.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And I will have links to all of your websites, social media, and your Amazon to purchase the book, Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's, in our show notes, because again, this is super important. I've lived this. And I didn't know that this was available at the time. It might not have even been available yet.
Right. We just released the program in 2021 and the book in 2023. So yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't available when we were living this life. However, it is now. So this is definitely something, if you have littles, Christmas is coming. I know this episode will air before Christmas. So this could be a great Christmas gift for families, bring families closer together, or even before Christmas, pre-holidays, help the little ones understand what's going on.
Good idea. That's a great idea.
You're welcome. Again, thank you so much for being here. And if you liked what we said in this episode, if you find this information beneficial to you or someone might need to hear this, please share this episode with a friend. If you'd like to support us, we have the links to buy me a coffee available in our show notes as well. But really the best way to support the show is to share it with a friend and check out Mackenzie Meets Alzheimer's. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.